Good morning, happy Monday. Hello, wherever you are, whatever day it is with you in your week, in your world. This week, I'm just gonna tell you about some of the things that have been going on in my head recently and explain some of the ways that I have been negating the inner dialogue that goes on in here and some of the things that I've learned over the years to kind of shut it up and make it better and make my world a happier place to live in. So if you have that internal dialogue, if you have those thoughts that literally bully you from day till dawn, then this is the video for you. So hello, if you're new here, hi, I'm Jane. I'm a mindset teacher and I am all about silencing the critical negative thoughts that go in your head. But if you've watched the intro to this video, you will know that even though this is what I do, even though this is what I am and how I live, it still happens. I still get those thoughts, those critical negative bullying things still pop up in my life because I'm human and I have human experience and human feelings. And so whether we are sort of teachers in this thing or not, it still happens. And so that's why this video is vitally important for you to watch. And that's why I wanted to kind of touch on it this week. So if you're happy for that, please like and subscribe because I would love more people to learn about this stuff, because quite frankly everybody needs to learn how to be their own best friend and not to be the bully. I would bet that literally every single person who's watching this right now has an internal dialogue going on in their head here that they literally have they don't know anything about it. It just plays and it plays and it plays and they're not aware of it. And so you literally are bullying yourself on repeat daily because you're not aware that there's that little voice in your head that's kind of telling you things that aren't true all the time. So I wanted to chat about that this week, and to give you the kind of the backstory to this video, there's a couple of things that happened. So recently I have been in a bit of a crisis management in my house, and there's been some things going on that has been bringing up old stuff for me, old stuff from my childhood and my teens and my early 20s that was a massive trigger, massive trigger. And it has made me hyper aware again of my body and the way I look. And so I was up in my head about that. And I noticed that even though I've become really good at being aware of those thoughts over the years, I noticed that slowly, they were creeping back in and they were coming back into my brain. And I realized that without actually being aware of it, I'd started to bully myself about my weight again. I'd started to literally criticize every single thing about my appearance. And it's not nice. It's not a nice place to live. And this had happened so on autopilot that when I caught myself, I was like, oh my God, this is how easy it is to get taken over by those thoughts, because they've been in my life for literally as long as I can remember, and I have become very good at quashing them and telling them to go away and keeping them out. And for years, literally for years sometimes, I don't have them. And then every now and again they come back in and I find myself back in that place. It's like an alcoholic, right? You're always an alcoholic, and if you have a drink, those thoughts come back. If you're a drug addict and you have drugs, that feeling, that addiction comes back. And it's kind of the same for me. The addiction to food and exercise and wanting to be different in my body is like my addiction, and it comes back from time to time, and I have to be hyper aware of that. And so I'd started to realize that every single day I was telling myself that I felt fat today, that I didn't like the way I looked, that my clothes felt tight, that I started trying on. I have a thin wardrobe and a fat wardrobe, and that's terrible in itself. That's literally terrible, and that's one of the things that I had to stop doing. And I found myself trying on the so-called so-called thin wardrobe to make myself feel bad, because I knew that I wasn't going to feel as good in those clothes as I do in my kind of everyday clothes, because they're the ones that I can, to my brain, right, to my obscure, stupid brain, they're the ones I can only wear when I'm really thin. No, actually, no. Why am I doing that to myself? Why am I trying on these clothes that my brain is in such a state that it's going to think they're tight regardless of whether I can get them on or not? They are going to berate me for my body having changed, for things feeling different, regardless of whether my body has changed or not. Nothing to do with my body. It's all to do with my brain and what's in here. And I started noticing and picking up on those things, and I started kind of saying to myself, no, those thoughts don't mean anything. Those thoughts actually in of themselves literally are nothing, because my body is just a body, right? My body is literally the house for my soul, for my being, for my actual eternal spirit. For me, it's not about my body, because my body is neutral. My body and every single other people's bodies are neutral. It's the thoughts that we have about them that give them meaning. So what I mean by that is, you could have any shape or size body, and if you are okay with it, then you haven't had experiences of that being an issue in your life, or you having thoughts about yourself that aren't nice thoughts, and if you haven't sort of bullied yourself to death all of your life and kind of told yourself that you were wrong, that you were fat, that it didn't look good, that you weren't perfect, that it wasn't enough, if you hadn't had those thoughts, then your body would just be your body. But because you've had those thoughts, your body's wrong. But that's not the truth, because every single thought that we have is coming from a past projection. It's coming from something that's happened, from an experience, from a feeling, from an emotion. Our body is literally a neutral thing. It's what we project onto it that gives it the either good or the bad. Nothing, no body, no food, no item of clothing, no nothing is good or bad. It's our experience about that thing. It's our emotions about that thing. It's our past about that thing that actually makes it good or bad. So I've been practicing, and this is what I want you to do. If you have those thoughts that pop into your brain, if you have those feelings that come up, I want you to practice saying no. Literally notice them, be still, notice them and say no. It's not. My body is neither good nor bad. It's neither fat nor thin. It's neither wrong or right. It's just neutral. It's just my body. And it's my past that is making it wrong or right, that's making it bad or good, that's making it fat or thin. It's not me. It's all in here. And the minute you can grasp that and stop that and actually pick up on those thoughts when they happen and say, no, stop, it's neutral. This is neutral. It is not good or bad. It is not a thing, because every single thing is a projection of what I've already lived. Every single thing that's going on in here is because of something I have already lived. It's not the now. And literally the only moment we have is now. The only time we have is now. And so we need to stop living with our past projections and our past fears and our past emotions. And we need to live now in the present. And there's two ways of living. There's either fear-based living, or there's love. There's love, living in love. And anything that doesn't feel good, you're here. You're in fear. And anything that feels good, then you're here and you're in love. And so if you can stop the bad, if you can stop living in fear and move yourself back over to love in any moment, then you are getting it right. And those thoughts eventually will get out of your brain and will leave you alone. There is really only one way to live, and that is with love. Everything is love and joy and peace and happiness, everything. And everything else is coming from a past experience, from a past emotion, from a past perception that you don't need to live in anymore. So I want you this week just to practice catching your thoughts. Catch them and say, no, that's not true. That's coming from fear and I don't want to live there anymore. I'm going to go back to love. I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to go back to my peace. And I am not living with that self-perceived flaw or emotion or experience, because that is not mine now. And the only moment we live in is now. The past is gone. The future hasn't happened yet. It's all about right now. And so if you can catch those thoughts and stop them, I'm telling you now from personal experience, life becomes a nicer, happier, easier place to live in. Change the fear to love. Change the negative. Tell it that it's not right, that you don't live there anymore, that you're not in that fear-based place anymore, that you're not having that past experience anymore, and that you are living in the now, because that's all we've got. And that is what I would like you to practice this week. And I'd like to know in the comments below how you get on with this one, if you do it, and how easy or hard you found it. Because one thing I will say is that if this is your first time doing this, you're going to find it hard. I just want to say that from the offset, because it's hard to catch your thoughts. If you've done this for 20, 30, 40 years and suddenly you're asking yourself to catch those negative thoughts, they're so ingrained in you, they're so on autopilot that it's going to be hard initially to catch them and feel them and find them and tell them no. Just the whole fact to tell them no actually might be something you have never done before in your entire life. But if you're like me and you've lived this way for a long time now, you will find it easier to catch them and change them. And that's where I've been. Literally within a week, I've weeded out all the mess again, changed it off, told it to go do one, because I'm not here for this anymore. I'm not living in fear. I'm going back to love, because it's actually neutral. Every single thing is neutral. Nothing you see in your life is good or bad, is right or wrong. It's all about the perception you give it, and the past experience builds the perception. So remember that, give this one a go, and I, as I said, would love to know how you get on. And if you need any help, please tell me below what it is you're struggling with, what kind of thoughts are actually coming into your brain on a daily basis, because they're the ones that are running the show, they're the ones that are on autopilot, and they're the ones you need to work on the most. And I don't like to shamelessly sell on here, but if you need any help, I do have a course called Change Your Words, Change Your Life, and I'm going to link it below just in case anybody feels called to check that out. No pressure, but if you want it, it's there. And that is all I want to say for this week. Hopefully you give this one a try and start living in love and not in fear, because we don't want to be there. Okay, that is all from me for this week. I will see you next week, and bye for now. Bye.